I'm going to look at an old favorite of mine. I've been following this stock since I was a little kid. It's called Amgen. I've been long the stock. I've been short the stock. I've had a lot of experience with Amgen. Amgen once told me nobody knew Amgen. This is an Amgen executive in charge. Told me nobody knew Amgen better than me. I'm not sure I made money with Amgen. That's a whole other story. Generally, I've been long it for a while, so that's worked. It's a very weird company. It's like a financially driven financial engineering company. So they have a big product list, actually. It used to be quite small, and it's grown over the years. Can't wait to show you some of the cool things we're doing at Godel with this financial data. But in the meantime, let's see. So here's Enbrel. This is like their kind of rapidly disappearing product, although you can see that they actually had it flat year over year, which is impressive. I wonder if they had price increases or how they managed that. I guess everybody who's cycled off of Enbrel will have cycled off by now. They're onto Shkreli or 𝗕𝗏𝗏 or some other drug. Prolia is kind of their, I would think of it as their most valuable product, because if you add Prolia and 𝗥𝗍𝗲, that's kind of one product basically. Where's 𝗥𝗍𝗲? 484. 𝗥𝗍𝗲 is actually declining, which is interesting. But anyway, if you add these two, that's 1.5 billion, which is around 6 billion a year, right? So that's Amgen's biggest product. So they're actually a little more diverse than most companies. Prolia is for osteoporosis, and it's kind of grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. And it's on this like manifest destiny to be one of the world's biggest products, but it's on a trajectory that's a little bit more slow than that. I mean, it's doing 4 billion run rate just in osteoporosis. 𝗥𝗍𝗲 is for skeletal metastases of different cancers. So that's used in different situations. But so together you get 6 billion, which, is a top, 20 product, I would say, in pharma, but not a top 10. Enbrel was once a top 5 product in pharma, but it has shrunk and other drugs have grown, so it's kind of yesterday's product, right? So I guess if you think about Prolia's 1.5 billion out of 7 billion quarterly, I guess that's something like 20% of revenue, which is, still a lot, I guess, but the company's gotten fairly diverse. So what's the next biggest product? It used to be their EPO franchise. That's changed quite a bit. We have Otezla, which they acquired from Celgene, and this is a little unusual because this is a pill. So Otezla is a pill, and it actually was down year over year, which I think is really telling. I didn't like the deal when they did it, but they paid a lot for Otezla, and I'm not sure they're getting their money's worth, but that's another story for another day. Evenity is doing really well. So this adds to their osteoporosis franchise. You can see the pretty nice growth here. Now a blockbuster drug. Really impressive. Young drug still has some room to get up to maybe 2 billion. What else? We have Kyprolis and Nplate. So Nplate is actually, is that right? 469? That's a weird number. Is there a label expansion or something? I don't get it. We'll have to look into Nplate. That is a bizarre growth. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 finally starting to do well there. 𝗕𝗏𝗏 has been this kind of very tired brand and challenge brand, PCSK9 product for cholesterol. And they actually lowered the price of the product. In pharma, you rarely lower prices in pharma, but sometimes you do and it works. And this is one of those cases where it made sense to lower price, and it actually ended up working out for everyone, which is very rare. Parsabiv went generic, I think. Sensipar went generic a long time ago. They should probably stop reporting that one. I doubt we'll see that next year. All right, Neulasta and Neupogen were their biggest product combined. And you can see that they rapidly have disappeared, and that's thanks to biosimilars, or you might not think of it as thanks if you're working at Amgen, but you can see that even with all the mitigation attempts Amgen has made, Neulasta is kind of really fallen off. Barely a blockbuster now, was once clocking in, I think, over 4 billion in revenue. So biosimilars are starting to look like a bit like generics, which I think a lot of people in the biotech community never thought would happen. So these 5 products basically were Amgen for a long time. And you can see that those 5 products have declined. These used to be huge products, and now they're run rating. I mean, they're still run rating at around $6 billion a year, but declining pretty rapidly. That used to be the entire Amgen. That used to be like $20 billion. Yeah, their version of 𝗬𝗎𝗓 will be very interesting, obviously. Let's keep going here. Okay, 𝗬𝗵𝗡𝗡. This is the new migraine drug. It's starting to peak up to $400 million. These migraine drugs are, I think, basically a big disappointment. They never seem to be able to get the scale that they wanted to. 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗍, nice launch, run rating around 300 million. I think this drug's gonna hit blockbuster status, just 3-4 quarters into launch, new asthma drug. I actually might be a candidate for it to take it myself, so. AMGVita, this is the European 𝗬𝗎𝗓 biosimilar. So this is holding in there. Again, this was sort of just a cash cow basically for Amgen. Lumakras, now at 71, has had a flat 3 quarters in a row. This drug's a bust. A lot of people thought Lumakras could be a blockbuster. It does not look good for the whole KRAS world. I was a big KRAS bull. I was wrong. Yes, I'm wrong sometimes. Trailing 12 revenue, 300 million. Not a great number. So yeah, I thought the KRAS drugs would sell really well. I'm sure the KRAS, not 12D or 12C, I guess, mutations will sell better. But, they're still not going to be that big if this is the rate that it's going. Kyprolis, 325. I'm surprised this is still growing, to be honest, but good for them. BLINCYTO, 164. So new highs for BLINCYTO, definitely chugging along. That drug will probably never go generic, or biosimilar, I should say. Right, 𝗬𝗎𝗓𝗏, this is biosimilar Avastin. This is starting to fall. It's getting very heated competition in the biosimilar market, as we can see from just all these products. KANJINTI down 50%. So that's a real nasty biosimilar loss there, or drop there. Did I put in Neulasta and Neupogen, or did I mess that up? It looks like I messed that up, right? I thought I put in the right number, but I was putting in just rest of world. So US global Neulasta is 221. No, that's right. Okay, I got them right. Phew. I'm not losing my skill just quite yet. 119 there, and we got 6552, so I'm missing one product. Oh yes, the new product, TAVNEOS. So this is an interesting product. I looked at this in a prior life. 21 million. I think I'm missing one more product, as a matter of fact. Or I typed one in wrong or something. Epogen 114 and Aranesp 348. So that brings me the right numbers. Cool. Everything's worked out here. So I'm curious why Nplate grew that much. That was a weird number. But let's look at the year over year. It was down 4% for Q4. So Amgen's sort of struggling in a lot of ways. The acquisition of Horizon may boost revenue, but it's obviously not going to be a useful organic boost. I like how they say largely unchanged. Product sales were down, or they look to be down, at least to me. I could be wrong though. Actually, product sales were up. Take it back. It was other that was down. So other is their COVID manufacturing, which is obviously not a serious business. So let's look at the Nplate situation. 66%, a one-time order from U.S. government. Okay, that makes sense. So I think you can use Nplate, some people think, for radiation poisoning. So that might be why the government's stockpiling that. It could be wrong, but that kind of makes sense. Some CIA stuff there from Amgen. Secret stuff. All right, we got cost of goods sold, non-GAAP. So this is what we care about. Non-GAAP is 1071, a little worse than I imagined. 84% margin. I do have to get these numbers as well. So we got a little cleaning up to do in our Amgen model. All right, 1291 for R&D. That's down year over year. So Amgen's spending less money in R&D. I don't know that that's a good thing. To me, R&D is kind of a leading indicator. But companies that have declining revenue don't like to have increasing expenses, do they? Here's their their version of cash and debt, which I don't always take, but I'll just take for now. They're still very levered up, and I think with Horizon, right, they're going to lever up even more. So Oof. I don't know. That seems like a mistake. They're going to be out of capacity probably for many years. I have to start modeling like Horizon earnings contribution, I guess. Big win for the Horizon people to sell the product, obviously, or the company, I should say. It's really one product, but 2 products, I guess. How much did they pay for Horizon? How did they pay for Horizon? All cash or not? Very perceptive question from 𝗓𝗏𝗍𝗀. Very smart person, I can tell. How did they pay for Horizon? Let's take a look. Amgen Horizon. Where's the press release? Here it is. No, that's the Rule 2.7 announcement. I need the Amgen press release. Amgen Investor Relations. It's pretty annoying the way the Irish takeover laws work. Oh, is 𝗟𝗏𝗃𝗧 now available in the US? First biosimilar to be approved. The question is, can you prescribe it, right? List price, 55% below. Oof. Well, it'll be interesting to see if that's really prescription available because, okay, so the -5% list price is the other one that's available for discounting. Yeah, everyone has a biosimilar 𝗬𝗢𝗢𝗔𝗓. I mean, if you're doing biosimilars and you don't have a biosimilar 𝗬𝗢𝗢𝗓, you should just give up. Okay, so I guess they didn't do, they have 2 press releases? I don't know. Let's see the last Horizon press release. Okay, so around $2 billion in revenue. I'm just going to put this in our Amgen model, even though it's not an Amgen drug quite yet. I'm just going to put here TEPEZZA, and I'm going to use a single quotation, so it won't get calculated. That's a Pharma Bro trick, patented trick. So this does not get added to the total. If I did it without a single quotation, it would. So that's kind of like a super trick for your Excel superpowers. So last year it was a higher, they had more revenue? Okay. I'm sure there was some explanation for that. They're also getting KRYSTEXXA, which isn't that small. I almost bought KRYSTEXXA as well in out of the Savient bankruptcy. Ravicti's going to go generic, I think. Maybe I should make a Ravicti generic. ProSysB. All right, so TEPEZZA is around $2 billion, but it looks like its growth has slowed. I don't think there are new indications either, right? So, and there's some competition coming, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of a bad deal. Amgen tends to, their M&A is pretty spotty. Quarterly results for TEPEZZA have been very confusing. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so it's still a relatively new launch. I've seen so many ads for thyroid eye disease. You'd think it's like as common as depression or something. The company has gone so ham, spamming the world for thyroid eye disease patients. Like, what? Man, TEPEZZA really, it really looks like they had like this weirdest shape of a drug launch for revenue that I've ever seen. Oh, did they have a supply problem? This is now starting to make sense to me. They must have had a supply problem. So somebody's asking a very simple question. Why would you buy a company for a premium? So that's the tradition in M&A. There's a number of reasons for that. The first reason is that you can't slowly acquire an entire company in the stock market. It's very difficult to do. They are paying in cash. 𝗬𝗢𝗢𝗚𝗓, thanks for subscribing. So if you want to buy the entire company, you basically have to come to a negotiated agreement. There's no real great way to do that just in the stock market. You don't just get an E-Trade account and start buying, click, 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 buy. I actually did do that once, but in general, it's very hard to do that with a large company. One of the reasons for that is you have to disclose after you own more than 5% of a company. So once you cross the 5% threshold, you basically at that point are the cat's out of the bag that you're buying the company, or you're trying to at least. So that's one obvious way. The other obvious way is, if you want to buy out a company, you have to be willing to sort of make a good deal that the other company has to have a reason to sell to you. No, you have to do the disclosure yourself, and there have been people who actually have gotten prosecuted for not doing the disclosure in a timely way. Some people try to sneak around the disclosure law by not filing on a timely basis. I did once, when I was doing one of these that was very like secret mission 5% deals, we had, the rule is you have 48 hours to disclose. And we waited till like 47 hours, 30 minutes. I don't think we waited till the last minute, but we were like, tried to use the market every second we can. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk didn't disclose everything. But, you know, it's one of these rules that's policed when the SEC kind of wants to police it or when they find out about it. They don't have the tools that they need to perfectly police it. And personally, I don't think it's a very limited, quote unquote, violation. It's really not the end of the world if the market finds out a week later that you bought more than this percentage or that percentage. But I do think, there's, it's fair. I mean, those are the rules and everyone should play by them. It's fair is fair. Otherwise, you could like corner a stock. And that was the old, if you read about the history of Wall Street, that was kind of what used to happen. Let's see. So this is Q2 20, KRYSTEXA, and TEPEZZA. So TEPEZZA was 166. So I guess I kind of see it, but I still see like maybe they're supply constrained, maybe it's just flat. So I have to dig into that. Maybe, if they're being supply constrained, that could be pretty exciting, right? Because then maybe real demand is so much more than we know. That's the theory, right? But if they're able to meet the supply and demand or meeting at the right place, then it's sort of been flat for 6 quarters. It's been around 500. I don't know if they're still supply constrained. Biologics are very hard to make, so it wouldn't shock me if they're supply constrained or something like that. But anyway, I think that's enough for the Horizon deal. We'll look a little bit later at what happened with supply constraint and stuff like that. But for now, we'll keep looking at some of these disclosures. A lot of their pipeline is kind of the same old. Yeah, not that exciting. But Amgen finds a way to win, kind of like regardless. Right, so revenue was like almost exactly flat year over year. Let's see, they had 34 million here, minus 415, minus 67, so they're a ton of debt, I guess. I'm still not getting the right number here. Let's see. Oh, right, GAAP, non-GAAP, duh. Let's see, something's missing. Okay. There's the balance sheet, there's GAAP, non-GAAP. So this isn't the best format in my opinion, but who am I to tell Amgen what to do? This is not bad, actually. I'll take it back. All right, so their non-GAAP net income is $2,202,000,000. 2202 non-GAAP net income, NGNI. So taxes go up to 586. So, okay, but maybe one of these goes down. Let's see. Let's say 340, so I'll just do 340. All right, so I got almost exact number. And I just got to add back like a couple of these other little things, but it looks like plus 10 here, or minus 10, I should say. And we're 9 million off, which is close enough. If you wanted to get through it step by step, you can get the exact number, or hopefully you should get this exact number. Sometimes I catch these companies and say, I can't make your numbers add up in your press release. That's when they hang up. We'll get back to you. So Amgen's going to get into the GLP game. I'm sure all you guys know about GLP-1s. Even Kim Kardashian's taking them now. Everyone's taking them in Hollywood to slim down, look better. The heroin chic look is coming back, I guess. 5 drug companies forever. Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, honestly, probably. It's hard because drug companies, their assets cycle in and out. So it's all about management. So you can't own management forever. Unfortunately, Warren Buffett, for example, is a good example. At some point, the old man's gonna move on to the next life, unfortunately, for capitalism. When Buffett dies, I'm legit gonna cry. Yeah, Charlie's never gonna die, even though he's older than Warren. Novo Nordisk, I don't think it's a short. Novo Nordisk has seemed expensive for a long time and just keeps growing and growing and growing. So BLINCYTO is funny. That deal that they did this deal a long time ago for that company, and I would say it actually worked out pretty well for them. It's good to know the histories of these companies sometimes. Sometimes I wonder if it's a bunch of useless information, but it's good when you talk to the company management that you know their history really well. I think they get impressed and they're like, I got to talk to this guy. you know, even if you're not like the biggest shareholder or something, you know, you got to be prepared. Okay, cool. We are all caught up, or mostly caught up, and now we can get started. Sorry, that was like a multi-hour wait, but it's not that easy because you want to, like I said, not be mindlessly plugging and chugging. You want to be observing and taking notes in your mind. Okay, what is going on with this company's products? What do I know about this company's products? What do I need to know about these companies' products that I don't know now? You know, you're using the time sort of like yoga or exercising. You're thinking about, you know, the company. And I haven't updated this model in a long time, so there's a lot of maintenance work to do. So now next time I open it, it'll be much more current. Okay, so Amgen has around 27 billion in revenue. So the question is, what will their revenue be from here out and forevermore? And we're going to try to forecast all the way to 2035. It's not as hard as you might imagine to forecast long-term life cycles of products. For example, 𝗕𝗄𝗅𝗔𝗬𝗓 is probably just going to keep fading away into irrelevance. So we can just decrement it 10% a year. 𝗟𝗏𝗦𝗧 is probably going to do the same thing. You can see that's been the trend as well. 𝗬𝗢𝗅𝗔𝗬𝗓, same thing. 𝗎𝗎𝗓𝗧, same thing. 𝗍𝗏𝗏, same thing. So these are all products that are in that theme of a declining, you know, fading product. This products that are generic are also that way as well. So this is a small molecule generic. Now 𝗥𝗘𝗡𝗦 is a bit different. 𝗥𝗘𝗡𝗦, I think there's a biosimilar coming out, but you can see 𝗥𝗘𝗡𝗦 has been growing. So I'll be pretty careful about what I do to 𝗥𝗘𝗡𝗦. Prolia is even more interesting. Prolia is a growth product, but eventually it's going to go off patent and there'll be biosimilars. The question is when. You can see Prolia was, these numbers don't look right. Prolia was introduced around 2010. So it's been 13 years in the product. It can't last a lot longer without a biosimilar. And I know there are biosimilar companies kind of coming out with a product. Now there's something called Purple Book, which is the FDA's expansion of Orange Book. Orange Book is there for patents for medicine, for small molecules, but Purple Book kind of exists for patents for biologics. So if I go to Orange Book and I type denosumab, I think there's nothing there. Let's see. It'd be nice if they listed the patents, and there are no patents because it's a biologic, which is really weird. But if I type like atorvastatin or something, you'll see a bunch of patents. But let me type a drug that maybe just came out, like lumacras, sotatercept. So sotatercept, you can see the approval date. You can see when you click here, their patents expire in 2040, the patents for that medicine. So it's a while, for sotatercept, but for Prolia, we don't exactly know. So I'm going to guesstimate that you're going to see end of life in 2030. All right, so same thing for 𝗥𝗑𝗧𝗏, since 𝗥𝗑𝗧𝗏 is kind of, is basically Prolia, right? All right, Otezla is a small molecule too. That's a primolast, right? And so let's go to Otezla's Orange Book. Orange Book is vital for forecasting product expiry. So there's a link to Orange Book for pharmaceuticals, at least. It won't help you anywhere else. All right, so Orange Book has the approval date for Otezla is March 21st, 2014. And my guess is you'll see a generic relatively soon. You can see some of these patents are going to expire this year. And I think they've been guiding to a 2028 expiry. So I'll be nice and take their number, although Otezla not really growing anymore, is it? I'll assume in 2028 the drug goes poof. Evenity is the one bright spot. Well, both Evenity and 𝗬𝗎𝗓𝗏 are big bright spots in Amgen's constellation here. So I think this product will keep growing and probably get to 2 billion at some point, and probably won't see a biosimilar for a while there. But no drug's immune from a biosimilar, so let's assume that end of life happens as well. And let's assume something similar happens with 𝗬𝗎𝗓𝗏. Aimovig, I think, is basically a dog. And you can see that it's not growing too much, but the CGRP group of drugs is not going away. Now 𝗕𝗡𝗏, this is a little more complicated. This is a drug still in its launch curve, so we don't quite know what's going to happen. I think it'll probably be a couple of $1 billion drug. Asthma is a really big market. So I paint this picture of it. It peaks at $3 billion. And again, we now more and more in biotech, we have to think about biosimilars, which we never had to before. Now, AMGN is a weird one because it's launching this year. I feel like there'll be a big bolus for the US launch, but then it'll probably just decline. Maybe it'll be even bigger than that, something crazy. But everyone's going to have a feeding frenzy for this product, right? And it'll eventually just _𝗙𝗏 itself out like all generics do, down to nothing. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗧 is kind of a big disappointment, as we talked about earlier. It's one of the big mistakes I made, is thinking the KRAS market was going to be enormous, and I was wrong there. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 will go generic as well at some point soon. It's a small molecule, so it'll go proper generic. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, June 7th, 2018. A little more recent than I remember. It doesn't fully sound right, to be honest, because I remember this drug from a long time ago, so I'll just write that down anyway. No, 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 has been around forever. Okay, there we go. July 20, 2012. That's what I thought. All right, so a lot of patents to choose from. I would say 2025 sounds right. And again, we can refine some of these estimates some other day. Nplate is a really weird drug. I don't know if that one can go generic because it's not exactly an antibody. It's like a peptibody, and it's a biologic. So Nplate might be good. Nplate might be all right for a while. BLINCYTO is kind of the same thing. It's like, kind of keeps chugging along. The biosimilars are not going to go so great, though. So let's have those drop. Let's have these drop. And now we're going to have the Horizon products. So you can see we're almost done with these kind of rough numbers, not too much research on these. I know these products like the back of my hand, so this, that's where the years and years of slowly, patiently watching these things comes to bear. So the big question is, what is TEPEZZA going to do? So TEPEZZA will be around a while, although it's an older product technically. I don't know that I'm that bullish on thyroid eye disease being a big indication. I'm being a little pejorative here and making fun of it, but let's really give some benefit of the doubt, say it gets to $3 billion. KRYSTEXXA probably will never go generic. It's a really unique product. And these other products will just kind of fade into nothing. So in aggregate, their TTM is, oh, it doesn't even show. Let me see. It's 84 plus 58 plus 44 plus 34. Multiply that by 4, it's 800. All right, so they do 800 and kind of other, so I'm just going to put 800 down here and decline that by 20%. All right, so now we have a model. What is all this worth? Let's do our DCF. It's amazing how many shares Amgen has bought back. That's kind of what I was saying. They're really good at financial engineering. That's kind of what I mean. 85% gross margin has been consistently their thing. I have no problem leaving that there. Now it's sort of tricky. You have to think about R&D, I think, as a one-time expense, because they're not going to continue to do R&D in this model. If we expensed R&D, we would never get the benefit of the fruits of that R&D in the later years. So it's not fair to expense them here and not get the benefit there. So I'm just going to leave R&D out. I'm just going to think about what does it cost to run one of these organizations from an SG&A perspective. And it's actually really efficient. You can see that it was only $5 billion of costs to sell $26 billion of medicine. Pretty amazing if you think about it. So really, really stunningly efficient company. So I'm just going to decrement that by 5% a year. It almost doesn't even matter what I do there, right? Because it's such a small amount. And the only question is, what's the tax rate? And Amgen barely pays taxes, so we all have to pay taxes, but not if you're Amgen. They got rooms of accountants to make sure they don't pay taxes. So we have a rough estimate for Amgen's fair value. We're also going to do a maturity or terminal growth rate of -2%. Stretch that out for a while. This should be frozen, okay. Now we do an NPV. And we're gonna take 20, do we include 2023? We can just add 2023, I guess. So we don't have to discount that year. So we'll start the discounting in 2024. Then we'll add 2023 net income. Net income and cash flow are pretty similar in biotech. Discount rate's 8%, I'd say. ROIC is a complicated one. They're gonna, let's see, they'll have cash again probably in 2026. So this is, let's put down here. Okay, so this is their cash accumulating over time. We reach 150 billion by 2035. That's your cash as a shareholder. I'm going to put in a 1% return on that cash, just as like an anti-inflation concept here. So let's see. This times this. Yeah, so let's do it this all before. Since it's DT, let's do DS. Okay. Cool. And we're done. So we get a $276 stock. All right, so 280 bucks. Amgen's trading for 230, I think. So kind of marginally cheap. I'm not including any value for their pipeline whatsoever. So it's probably another 30 bucks or so in there at least. So it's like a marginal long, I would say. It's not perfect. It's like borderline buy the stock. 20% is not enough. And with these large cap stocks, it's certainly hard to predict. But Amgen management's really good. So if you think their ROIC will be 2 or 3%, and the diversity of their product portfolio lowers the discount rate a little bit, you're looking at an easy long if you like any of the pipeline products, of which they have an enormous number. Also, did I do TAVNEOS? I think I missed TAVNEOS, their new product. Yeah, I did. So add TAVNEOS, which it's not going to be a huge product, but that's another one for there's TAVNEOS, which I missed. So TAVNEOS will probably do something like this. It doesn't add a lot, but I'm sure Amgen thinks it'll do better than that, but that's kind of, maybe added $1. Oh, you know what? I don't even think the formula picks it up yet. Let's see. So it's 277. Let's have the formula added up. All right. So TAVNEOS added at $6, so it's just a little bit more. So Amgen, 20%. I would agree. Crouton is in the margin of error, but I'm also not including any pipeline product at all, which is pretty conservative. They have some okay products that will probably come out and sell okay. But the market is efficient. So you do all this work and you see that the company is fairly valued more or less, and you just keep updating every quarter with the new updates, and you try to figure out if something's changed. Like if a product really starts to look like it's picking up, or a patent's going to last longer than you thought, and you update your model, and then maybe you get a better answer. All right, guys, this was fun. Really good to see you.